Hey, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whoever you are, wherever you are. Welcome to the pit stop. It's Monday. You made it. We made it. You are here. We are here together. Yeah. After that crazy nor'easter that we had today on this Indigenous Peoples Day, times have changed. Not a lot of people are in agreement with the atrocities of one Christopher Columbus. So people have choices on how they celebrate. People have choices on how they celebrate life, on how they embrace life, on how they make change. So here we are celebrating Indigenous People Day, and we embrace the things, the changes that our indigenous people have been through. This is about, listen, this is the times that we live in. It's about everybody. It's about all of us. It's about how we share and how we come together and heal. Where does the healing start? It starts at home, especially in this here America. So this is why I said good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are, good afternoon, whoever you are, whether in the States, whether across the globe, across the world. Welcome to the pit stop. It's the Monday check in. And again, healing starts at home, and how it starts, where it starts, it's a pattern. So we form a pattern. The pattern is it can't happen without each other. So this is another reason why we're celebrating Indigenous People Day, remembering this is a time to check in. We're not talking about just history, but it's about us. It's about ourselves. You, me, he, she, we, they. So, family, again, it's Indigenous Peoples Day, a day of truth, a day of honoring and remembering, and also a day to what? To check in, to check in with each other. It matters. We matter. You matter. So, yeah, it's Monday, and just coming up for those of you who were out there traveling, you had to travel, you had to work, or you stayed home, you had a day off from work, and most of us, many of us, are trying to maneuver, trying to navigate through this government shutdown. I know y'all got some stories to share with me about this government shutdown, and it's a lot going on. It's tight. It's very tight with us right now. Emotionally, you know, we are at our best to present a safe platform to blend in mental health. The Just Stop It show and the pit stop, you know, is integrated to make sure that you have a safe space, a sound space for you to be able to speak your truths, to honor and check in and just understand who you are and to make mental health a priority in that safe space. And this is for generational, across generations. This is for generational households. This is for everybody. And again, where does it start? It starts at home. Healing starts at home. Somebody has to start it somewhere, and it starts at home. So today we honor you, our indigenous people, and it's also about family centered. We are family oriented. We have family centered stories, and sometimes the stories are crisis. It's about crisis, or it's about things that happened before the crisis. We're going to share stories with you, share steps and strategies with you, and support with you to help you before you get to the crisis. Before, during, and after. We are about actionable calls, reform. Making combating ongoing legislature or things that need to change. We ain't trying to you know recreate the wheel or just I don't know. There's so many ways to I have to say there's so many different solutions, but there's many ways to engage those solutions. And this is what we're about here is engaging change. As long as you remember, change. Change has to happen. And how do you change? How do you format change? What's the formula for change? And with this government shutdown, it's just bananas. I'm telling you, I never seen so much egos on one platform from every direction possible. It's just the whole thing is just too. Everybody's just. I don't know. Leadership is just their egos. They really need to tone down their egos and just get real. Just get real. I'm happy that so many good things are happening regardless of the shutdown. But I just didn't realize just how much uh, who's in charge. I just didn't realize like how much the federal government is linked to. These things are linked to our everyday lives. And to tell you the truth, if we can't get through this right here, it's because this right here is at our jugular, financially, emotionally, spiritually. It's going for the jugular, and it's not good. So we must combat it with and making just making sure that our priorities are straight, that our emotions are intact and not being attacked, that we are moving in peace and not in pieces. So hey, this is the mental health check-in. Uh, Again, this is the pit stop, right? Welcoming you on this Monday, and we are honoring our Indigenous people. It is Indigenous Peoples Day. So, yeah, we are grounded and rooted in reverencing each other. This is what the pit stop and the just stop it mission is. We are grounded and rooted in respect and honor and reverencing one another in the aspect of mental health, making that not only a priority, but making understanding, helping families to understand that it must be a priority. And there are certain principles and standards that's in place that definitely need changing. And we as a people need to change our thinking, be strategized, and change our perception of things. And change is not easy for some, but it becomes easy when you find out how simple it can be, and that the uh, the call to action, an actionable plan makes it easier to change. When you have an actionable plan, you have something that's fitted for everybody, not just a one size fits all, but it's fitted for everybody. Everybody sees themselves as a part of it, which makes it become family oriented, which makes it um, family centered. And that's what we're about here. That's our mission. It's among some of our mission statements. It's among some of the things that we are on a mission to do, that we have a vision to do. And we can't we're not here to save everybody. We're here to help people to save themselves. God has given us so much. He is sharing things with us in life. God shares things with us in life that He saves us from, and He also teaches us how to save ourselves. Save ourselves from heartache. Save ourselves, from extendable time. Save ourselves from nonsense, and the whole 9 yards of stupidness. So and how does that happen? Through the truth. Through truth, honoring and remembering who we are with Him and who we are as a people. So, yeah, family, again, it is Indigenous Peoples Day. And again, I just wanted to share with you that this is not a medical advice. It's not a medical advisory board. This is not a medical advice show. This is to share information, which is you probably saying, well, I could do that, look it up myself. I could ask questions to somebody myself, but I'm talking about a safe space where you can come and talk about it. You can go to J Tire Form 1 at YouTube, just us at YouTube, and share your support for Indigenous people. Share your knowledge, understanding concerning the things that Indigenous people go through mentally, socially, financially, spiritually, and what we can do as a people to help one another, make new history. and change history and be ourselves. It's about being yourself. It's about being who you are, being that phenomenal you. So, yeah, before we go any further, take a deep breath. Woosah. Take a deep breath. So, today, for those of you, listen, just show up. Sometimes that's all you need to do is show up, as a witness. Just showing up, being a witness. Um, you may not even say anything sometimes, but just show up, be present, and observe. And then you'll be able to share your perspective after you put all the missing pieces together, or you put together information that's good for the situation, that will make the situation be on go, that will make the situation grow and develop in the right way, and the people involved will grow and develop in the right way. But mind you, everything takes time. Everything takes time and order. You must have order. That's what's wrong with government officials now. It is disorderly. It is just, it's everything is just, it's just a mess. It's a hot mess, but it's gonna get right. Sometimes you need humankind. They need dilemmas so they can get right and get up out the mess and stop being messy as well. So yeah, so this is a time to reflect, so we can show up for each other among our indigenous people, among African Americans, among uh, East Indians, among Asians, among Israelis. I don't know. It's just about people in this here America. I know I'm gonna get a hot letter on that one, but that's okay. We're talking about people. We're talking about people and understanding how we can live together in this here America. In this here America, and change. It's about changing. And the role of the family. It's about the family, the role of the family in a crisis, the role of the family before a crisis, the role of the family during, before, during, and after. The role of the family, even if the family doesn't even understand that a crisis is happening, or the potential for a crisis to happen. Sometimes it hasn't happened, but there's a potential for it to happen, and families need to be aware and share their stories, share their insights, share the possibilities of what could happen. In many indigenous cultures, healing is communal, and that should be like everywhere in my mind. The family is the first responder. The matriarch in some cultures is the first responder. The grandfather, the grandmother may be the first responder in some cultures. Um, the uncle, the big brother, the dad, the mother, the big sister may be the first responders in some families. But somebody's got to be the first responder. Somebody has to have the best interest of he or she, with valid support, with strong support. Because in today's system, families are often sidelined and criminalized. That part. Trying to help each other is very, very challenging, especially in a crisis, especially during a mental health crisis, and any crisis, because mental health can uh, can be linked. Mental health is linked to how you live, eat, play, work. Your finances. It's linked to so many things. It's just how you formulate it, how it's formulated, how it's formatted. How the system, you know, how the system sidelines you, how the system criminalizes the things that, I don't know. Maybe some people don't know what to do, and they're being criminalized by their mistakes. I thought about this earlier today, that, like, what is a mistake? What is a mistake? Some people say, "Oh, I made a mistake." technically it's trial and error. Thank goodness you made some trials and you passed through the trials and you made some errors. So once you figure out what those trials were during and the errors that that happen, you fix the error. You make sure you don't do it again, and you enhance the the tools. You get the tools, put together the tools, the strategies, and all that comes together. Well, you got solution. It could just be just that simple. Not saying it's not a challenge, just time. You must give yourselves time. When trying to help somebody in a crisis, just picture this: a mother calling 911. I got some stories. I got story. I can attest to this one. Calling 911 because her son is hearing voices. A dad, uh, or vice versa, a son calling 911 because his mother or his grandson is calling 911 because their grandmother is hearing voices. Grandfather's hearing voices. They're indifferent. They're violent. They just flipped. They're like on a whole different vibe. They're on a whole different invisible side. And they had to call 911. Now, too often calling 911, not to say that 911 uh, is, they may be a part of the answer. It may be, they will help you, lead you to the answer, but they're not the answer. But they can help lead you because you've got to start from somewhere. Many times it leads to more trauma and not treatment. When you call 911, I'm going to share this story with you. Make sure you lead the team, whoever the emergency, the EMS workers are, and the police officers, because they both come at the same time. Guide them. You be the guide to talk them through on how to handle your loved one. Tell them, say, hey, for example, my son, my grandmother, my mom, they're having a meltdown. They're having an episode. They're having, uh, they're not on their baseline. They're decompensating. I don't know what level of decompensation they're at. Tell them, give them a short history. If they've been to a specific hospital, have them for treatment, and that hospital has been good for treatment, and they have given them safe discharges. They have treated them well. Give them that hospital as the go-to place for treatment. Don't take them anywhere, anywho. Take them back to the place where they're getting good treatment. And that's the beginning of the healing process. And again, guide them and tell them, listen, they may be erratic right now, they may be out of terms right now, but tell them how to handle your loved one. Tell them how to speak to them in a calm voice. Just guide them. And then things will go smoothly. That transition into the emergency psychiatric unit will go smooth. Well, as smooth as it can be, because some in some hospitals, once they get into the psychiatric unit and they're not compliant, other stuff happens because they got to get treated. So they may have to be forced to get a type of treatment so they can calm down. Because if they are erratic, if they are violent, they have to be subdued. So they will be subdued in the emergency room. And as a parent, as a loved one, some hospitals ask you to step out while they are trying to get this person to the next step. They have to, get them comfortable enough. They got to get them to a place where they could begin to revive. They could begin to come to themselves. And that's going to take a while because they way out. They way out there. It's going to take a while, and it's going to take a while for everybody's head to get tight because as a loved one, it's traumatizing to see to see your loved one in that realm. It's traumatizing for he or she, and it's traumatizing as a loved one because you feel very helpless, but you are not because you are there. You are there as a witness. And for those who can't be there, and your loved one is picked up for treatment in the street, or he or she is having an episode, a break, because they call it a break, and it's somewhere far out away from you, don't worry. Once the EMS and the medical team pick them up, as long as as long as there's some type of contact between the hospital and the family, and they call you, and you respond, and you continue to inquire, and you be in the moment as much as you can. And if you can't, just at least continue to call, and you will begin to understand the the healing process. So this is why we honor Indigenous families who have fought to keep their loved ones safe, even when the system failed them. And sometimes the system fails because it seems like it's the only thing that people can rely on, but it's not the only thing. My people is not the only thing, and we honor aunties, grandmothers, and siblings who have intervened with love before the police come. Intervene, speak, be the voice, because when your loved one is in that realm, they don't know. They don't know who they are. We're talking about the truth and honoring and remembering Indigenous people. And this goes for Indigenous people and all of us. Who's going to speak for us? Who's going to help us but us? So we honor all those who decided to be the voice among Indigenous people. We honor all those who respond during a crisis. We honor all those who started with the community. What would crisis response look like if it started with community and not control? What would it look like if it started with community and not control? That's a tough one. And it depends on the kind of control because we need a type of control in our community. We need a type of law. We need law, you know, um, but there has to be some truth in it. There has to be support. There has to be support. So again, speak up and out for your loved ones. When you have to go before officials, the medical team, when you have to go before these hospitals, private or public hospitals, speak up and out. Be present in the day of truth and honoring and remembering. Remember, they are a whole different person when they pass into mental health crisis. So make sure you make new history in your family, our Indigenous people, and for this is for everybody. We're about action and advocacy. So this is why this is the pit stop, mental health check-in. You know, do you know your local responders? Do you know how they handle mental health crisis calls? That's my question. Do you know how your local responders handle mental health crisis calls. You need to know that. You need to get some information from those first responders. Maybe it's some first responders who live in your neighborhood, or maybe just go around the corner and ask fire department. Because sometimes they come with them too. It depends on the situation. You got the fire department that might come, you got the police that might come, and you got the EMS. Everybody might come. It depends on the crisis. So you need to hear from everybody before you engage. So you'll be ready. Be ready in the moment. Do you know? Does your community have crisis teams trained in cultural humility? That part. Do they know how to deal with your culture? Do they have anybody in there on their team who represents your culture, who can intervene in your cultural crisis? You need to ask yourself those questions, family. Are you connected to any family rights or indigenous advocacy groups? Those questions you must ask yourself. And those are questions that every culture should be aware of, so that in the event we are all living in this on God's green earth, and we need to be aware of those things. So in the event these things happen around us, we can help. This is a day of truth and honoring and remembering. This is a day to check in and check your mind. It's the Pit Stop Monday. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night. This is your girl, the Grand Queen, coming at you, honoring Indigenous Peoples Day. And listen, bring us some real time to making mental health a priority. And this is the check in Monday. So today is a good day to start. If you haven't started asking yourself these questions, it's a good day to start. Got to start somewhere, and it's never too late, right? So push for change, push for change, press your way for change. Because what healing starts at home. Healing begins at home. At home where? Wherever you make your home in this here America, whatever you make your home in other parts of the world, it's got to start at home. It's a good beginning at home. And continue to ask yourself the same questions I asked you, and get more answers to those questions, and find more questions to ask. So you'll be able to make new history. So you'll be able to better support good mental health. All right, so here we are. And just want to share a little poem with you. Hopeful, just to bring you some hope on this week of this extended government shutdown. So, my people, family, to every family holding the line between crisis and care, you are not alone. To every listener, you are part of the circle now. On this Indigenous Peoples Day, let's honor the wisdom of community led healing. Let's fight for systems that listen, not escalate. And let's keep checking in with ourselves, with each other, and the truth. That's what it's about, checking in with the truth. So please, be hopeful. Hope always comes with good signs. It always comes with great signs, signs of relief, signs of truth, signs of advocacy for each other, signs and reminders that you are not alone. And there's a lot of support out there. It just has to take mindful people to do it, and people who don't mind changing their thinking, people who strategize, they change. I mean, like, as long as they know they have the support, and there's strong support and evidence to change, you can do it. And things can get done. Galatians chapter 6 and 2 reminds us that, to bear each other's burden, to bear each other's burden. Now, I guess some people saying, listen, Grand Queen, you not my responsibility. People not my responsibilities. It's not my responsibility. However, it's our responsibility to check in with each other. It's our responsibility as a human to check in and check out the things that need to happen. that should happen among our in our community, things that point to good mental health. It's our responsibility. We're accountable for it. So this is so what we have to learn how to bear one another's burden. We have to learn how to stoop down and support each other. But we got to do it. It has to be done. Right? So this is the check-in, the pit stop check-in, and we come and I just will need you to come back on Thursday. Please like and subscribe at Just Us at YouTube, J Tire Forum 1. Please like and subscribe and bring some truths and some stories to uh, the questions and answer some of those questions that I asked you earlier on about, uh, you know, the family. Who is the first responder in your family? And this is not just for Indigenous people, also, uh, you know, who's helping your loved one? How is your loved one being helped in the family? Um, and again, those three questions I asked you three questions. Uh, do you know how your local responders handle mental health crisis? Does your community have crisis teams trained in mental health in your culture? Are you connected to any family rights, Indigenous advocacies, or any advocacy group that combats mental health crisis, that combats mental health, period? It's about your well being, it's about your whole being. And that's what Just Stop It mission is, the whole being. I'm here for you, and I'll be back on Thursday and sharing more stories with you. And these things sometimes, in a mental health crisis, it may be prepared if things happen over and over again until it stops. This is why we call the Just My sub show. This is the mental health check in, but my main show is called the Just Stop It show, where we believe in principles and standards that can just stop the mayhem, that can stop they'll help the person to become accountable and stop the mayhem, stop the crisis in their lives, and the team of people that they need to help them to stop the crisis in their life. So we'll be back on Thursday, right? So peace, love, and joy to all of you, and you will make it as we stoop down to help each other and honor and remember each other on this check in week. So let this be a check in week. This be a check in week for everybody. Check in with each other, right? Much love. I love you like no other, as God does. Peace, love, and joy.